everyone. Welcome to part 4 of our Oceanside map. And we are working on this map making series for Map of the Month. And you can see we've done quite a bit on Oceanside already. And I'm going to set my timer for another 10-minute interval. Okay. Now, I think in the last video we talked about the highway and some other transportation aspects about different types of roads. We talked about highway, main road, side street, and there's a trail there. We could add a little color to that trail maybe. Maybe we give it like sometimes it's a dirt road. Here's a brown. Maybe we could put a little brown for we don't really have to color the main road or the side street, but why don't we put a little color for the trail? You can see there's one right here going between the two bodies of water. We still haven't named that pond. If you've added any ponds to your map, you can try to think of a name for your additional ponds. Okay, now we've got, for transportation, we also have we've got an airport. You see that X? That represents an airport. And I think what I'll do is I'll put some yellow lines for the runway. And maybe a little red in there too. You don't have to use the same colors that I'm using. Feel free to do your airport in any color you'd like. Maybe not blue. Let's save blue for the bodies of water, but any other color would work fine. And then go over to our key, and we want it to match in the key. A little bit of yellow on there to the runway too. All right, so there we have the airport. Let's see, we have another thing that has to do with transportation, sort of, in a way. We have what we call, if you look at this little symbol right here, it's like a little boat. If you find that in the map key, I've called it a yacht club. You could also call it a marina, a place where people keep their boats, okay? And many times the boats are, it might be more for recreation rather than getting around, but boats are a form of transportation, so let's show those boats. Yacht club or marina, and we can color it in the key as well. All right, now I'm going to grab my black, because the next thing I want to work on is this railroad. Now, what I did was I left a little bit of the railroad for you to finish. You can see there's a big gap in there where there are no little lines that represent the railroad tracks. Okay, now when you put your lines in, try to make them match the other lines as well. In size and distance between. You see, I try to make it match. That's a nice little exercise in trying to make things look like it was already there. Don't put them too close together, or too far apart. Try to follow the other tracks as well. Okay, so there we have the railroad. Now, here's a little bit of a switching up. Instead of a railroad, I'm going to turn this into a bike trail. Many times, old railroads are converted into what they call bike trails or rail trails. And I think that's what I'm going to do with this one, turn it into a bike path. Which probably will look nice if you put like a little edging like this. Now you don't have to do this if you don't want to turn it into a bike trail. You could just leave it as a railroad. I'm just giving you another option to kind of make your map a little different. Some people might do this, some others might just leave it as a railroad track. But that's kind of a fun change on the map there. Now we probably have to change. I have to change it on my key. I'm gonna call it a rail trail. So I'm gonna cross out the railroad, and I'll put rail trail. And I think I might even draw like a little bike in there too, just to represent the fact that it's a bike path now. Make it that double line. Okay, so there's a way that you can kind of individualize your map of Oceanside. And you could also do that too by naming some of the side streets. See, I haven't named all the side streets. You can make your map very unique by coming up with some names for these unidentified streets. Okay, let me add a little bit more blue to this river. We're almost done with this river. You notice as the river flows toward the ocean, it starts to get a little bit wider, especially in this down here, very close to the ocean. Take your time as you're doing this section of the river. You might want to start with the edges first. Go around that close. We've only got that little section left to do. I'll just do the edges right now. Go back. Fill it in later. Now, I thought this might be a good time to discuss the part of the map which is called the map grid. And it's a very important part of a map because it allows you to locate things on the map. And once you understand how to use a map grid, it's going to be a very useful tool for you. So take a look along the edge of the paper. I've put some letters starting with A all the way to G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Why don't we highlight those? Use a little yellow to highlight them. Now, I don't know if you've learned this yet in your studies of maps and map reading, so I'll go over it with you just in case you haven't learned what a map grid is. A map grid allows you to pinpoint the location on a map, and let me demonstrate it on the back side of the paper. Okay, I'll start off with an easy grid. You may have used grids in other things like math or other topics in your studies, or even a simple game of tic-tac-toe. Okay, now I'm going to label the edge of the grid with the letters just like we've done on the map, and I'll use numbers along the bottom just like we've done on the map as well. Now, if you've ever played some games have grids on them, and it's easy. It's very simple to find the corresponding, what they call. Let me try to think of the words. This is that they use for the grid. They call these. Well, anyway, we'll discuss that as we go. But this would be C-3. B-3. Okay, you see how it corresponds with the C and the 3. Oh, that's called a coordinate. I just remembered the word coordinate. Okay, so let's do another one. I'll put another X here. What would that correspond to? That would correspond to E. Always put the letter first. E and then the number 5. Okay, that was easy. Let's do another one. Here's one. E2. How about this one? Let's follow it. A6. All right, I think you're probably getting the hang of that. Okay, we'll do one more. That would be B2. Okay, so just make sure you're comfortable with that. It's a pretty simple system, but let's flip it over to the map. Now it's a little bit trickier on the map because you don't have the lines to go by, but we can you can eyeball it. Like if I was to, let's see, if I was to locate this little envelope right here, that represents the post office. Okay, so where would the post office be located? Let's follow it across to find the letter. That's the letter, pretty close to the C. And if we follow it down, what number do we come to? 4. C4. I'm going to actually write it right next to the post office. I'm going to put the location, C4. Let's find the coordinates for the airport. If I follow it across, we get to E, and then down to 5. E5 for the airport. Why not put that in E5? That's just another way to locate that. How about the yacht club? Now it's kind of in between letters. Which one would you say it's closest to, the F or the G? I think maybe the F, and pretty close to the 1. So I'm going to say F1 for the yacht club. You can locate these different things on your map key. You can actually give them the corresponding coordinates that let you locate the location of those places. All right. Well, now that you're very good at map grid, we can probably do a little bit more in the next video too. But let's stop now and get ready to do a little bit more work on the next video. All right, thanks a lot.